Allentown Victory, got a special message for you right now. I want to help you understand that we're moving into something new for all of us. We are now entering into a new age and a new dawn for Allentown Victory, and we believe for much more than just Allentown Victory, but we hope the Lehigh Valley and beyond. We're now moving from what we would call a church, or going to a church building and doing micro churches now, or house churches in multiple locations. And so we say this to say that if you're out there right now, and this is something that's been on your heart, you've been wondering or wanting to start something in your home or to do a house church or micro church, I would encourage you, feel free to contact us. We're looking to help out those that want to be doing it in the Lehigh Valley, those that want to be doing it beyond as well. We're not looking at being controlling or dictating this and that. We want to be someone to help serve you to do what God's called you to be doing. This is now the mantle that's on our house, on our church, on our groups of churches, and this is what we're now looking to be doing now in the valley and here. So we can help support you. As the Lord leads you, we also believe we're being led to help you follow Him in the direction God has called you to be doing. And so this is now what we are doing. We are excited about it. We're moving forward with it. We hope to do some larger services together and come together every few months so we can meet together as things begin calming down with COVID and more. But we hope that you would consider being part of just this, of what we're doing. Again, the Lehigh Valley, maybe something you want to be starting your own thing. If we can help serve you, contact us. That is our joy and our desire. God bless, and we hope to be connecting with you soon. Good morning, Allentown Victory Micro Churches. Let me ask you a question. What are you holding on tight to right now? Let's talk about that.
I've heard it. You've heard it. It's time for a new beginning. Time to start a fresh page or paint a new picture with our life. Sounds great in theory, but it can seem impossible. Life is messy. The lines have gotten blurred. Maybe we just don't know where to start. We look at the canvas of our lives and see mistake after mistake after mistake. It's overwhelming. When I look at my life with these messy lines and scribbles, it makes me think, is this as good as it gets? There's no eraser that can make this life make sense. But what if? What if there was someone that could make sense of our mess? They could take all our scribbles, all our mistakes, all our missed opportunities, and make them into a masterpiece. I remember, there is Jesus. He gives us a new life. Every day is new. Every day is a blank canvas full of possibility and promise. He takes our canvases, our lives that have been filled up with shortcomings, secrets, tragedies, and embarrassments, and He helps them make sense. When I look at the canvas of my life and I see nothing but disorder and chaos, I have to remember this. God is not a God of disorder. He's a God of peace. And you know what? He wants to take my hand and bring peace to the canvas of my life. So as we seek to make our mark, let us give God all our scribbles, all our mistakes, all our hurts, and trust that He will turn our messy lives into a masterpiece, His masterpiece.
Well, welcome to 2021. Here we are. When I look back a number of years ago when I was 16 years old and I started preaching, I remember it was the first time that I truly fasted. Yes, talking about fasting right off the bat here, okay? And I fasted for 3 days, just a water fast, right before I preached my very first sermon. And I remembered going through those 3 days, and it was torturous. In fact, it was a place where I thought I was going to have many mental breaks. I don't know if you've ever gone to that place before where you just thought, man, I could snap like that, like mentally. And I was just going through a warfare, spiritual warfare. I knew there was demonic things that were attacking me in those moments before that first setup where God was setting me up to be able to speak and see a glimpse of His calling and also what God wanted to do in that place, in that church, in that moment. And so such intense attack that took place. And I had to do something that was unfamiliar to me in those moments. And that's what I'm going to call this next series that we're jumping to 2021 with. It's called Hold Fast. Hold Fast. That is our sermon series now. Hold fast. And we need to hold fast to God, especially during difficult times, especially during times of transition, especially during times when the greatest breakthrough is around the corner and you are about to press into it. And in that press, it becomes difficult. You know, church, we have gone through a whole shakeup this past year. The whole world has. There has been a deconstruction, a disruption that has taken place, and it has a divine hand behind it, not in the sense of the negative things, but as far as what God wants to rebuild and repurpose, so to speak, in these moments. He is repurposing the church right now. He is repurposing you and me. So we are having, in one sense, not necessarily a new purpose, but a new way to get and do what God has called us to do. And it's not new. It's in the Bible. It's old news, so to speak, but it's still good news, and it's refreshing news right now for you, for me, and for all of us. One of those things that I see is just even stepping into the micro church movement that we're doing right now and looking at and moving forward with that, and that's something that's new and exciting and different, and I also believe God's hand is upon it as we are doing this right now, and as you're in your home right now watching this or watching this with others and with a group. I'm excited for what God is doing and where God is leading us and moving us forward into. But there are different things that happen in the transitions. There are a lot of things that get shaken, the things that get loose. There are tensions that begin happening. And when those tensions happen, that's when you need to hold fast. If you look at the image for the sermon series, you see those chains that are just taut, they're pulled. And you know, a lot of times when you're in the middle, and you're in the middle of two different things and you're being pulled, there is a tension that takes place on you, on your own soul. Right now, we are in a midst of a tension. Midst of multiple tensions, but things where we're pulled this way and that way, where we're having to rethink, is what I knew before right? Or is this thing right over here? Or what is God saying right here? And we need to make sure that we hold fast to God, because in those moments that if things are shaking loose, that if we're not holding on to God, the wrong things can shake loose as well. And when you see the word hold fast in the Bible, there's a scripture here that We'll make our anchor verse right now called Hebrews. Well, it's Hebrews chapter 3, verse 6. And it says this, but Christ as a son over his own house. I like that. Right before that, I was talking about Moses. How Moses was a servant in the house of the Lord. But how Christ now, he is a son over his own house. It says, whose house we are. Right? We are the house of God, and Christ is over. He's the head of the church. He's over us. So the Son is over the house, whose house we are. And then it says, hold fast. There's that word, hold fast. Hold fast the confidence and the rejoicing of the hope firm to the end. Now, if you heard me say hold fast, you probably already thought earlier what I was talking about fasting, and we will touch on that. But we're going to have a little different concept than what I normally do every single year when we talk about fasting. It's going to be a little bit different this sermon series and this month. But we're talking about hold fast. That means holding on to the altar, holding on to God. But here it talks hold fast. Hold on, keep, get in that grip, hold fast the confidence. Don't lose your confidence in Christ, in what He's doing, and what He's doing in you and those around you. This is when we need to buckle down and grab on and say, no, I'm going to hold fast the confidence and the rejoicing. Not only the confidence, but also the rejoicing. Man, when there's so many things we might not rejoice about, right now we need to hold on to what we can and what God has given us to rejoice over, particularly the hope of Jesus. Jesus is the Christ. He is the living Savior who's alive and with us right now, and we want to hold fast to Him, the confidence that we have Christ, that He is here and that He is present. You know, some of the biggest tests and biggest, what we call even wilderness experience happens in our lives at different times and different seasons. I don't know if this is that for you or for all of us right now, but I know in this transition, sometimes there's many different voices, and we've talked about that before. But in the midst of that, we cannot get moved by every wind of doctrine. The Bible talks about that in James. James mentions that, right? Don't be tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. We don't want to be double-minded people. We want to be single-minded in the fact and focus of Jesus Christ, holding fast our confidence in Him, that He is the Son that is over the house of the Lord. He is over us, and we need a firm grip on our true authority, and that's Jesus Christ. And so as we enter into this month, what we're looking to do is to hold fast. Not necessarily fasting. Now, if that's what's going to help you hold fast, yes, I like puns. It is a pun, all right? If that's what's going to help you to hold fast to Jesus, then do it. Then do it. But there are many ways and different tools that we can get to hold fast to Christ in these moments, to make sure that we do not lose our confidence, that we don't lose our faith, that we don't lose our confession. We need to hold fast in these moments of transition and turbulence and step into what God has for us, because guess what? It's right after the troubles, right after the testings comes the blessing. And as I'm preaching this message, can I tell you, I'm preaching to myself as well. I need this message just as much as I am preaching it to our churches right now and those that are listening overseas. This is for me as well, that I need. Matthew Catricola needs to hold fast and get a firmer grip. Don't get me wrong, I have a grip, but I need to get a firmer grip, because especially when the winds come, especially when things are knocking you back and forth, especially when good thoughts and good questions are arising, you need to make sure you know what you know and hold on to that and not let go of the altar, so to speak. Hold on to those altars. Hold on to what God's doing. Hold on to what He put inside of you, because this is a moment to hold fast. Hear me, church. This is a moment to hold fast as we step into breakthroughs, as we step into the next that God has for us. Yes, that's right. There is a next that God is bringing us into, and you are part of that next, but keep holding on. Don't let go. And we're going to talk about someone who did that. We're going to talk about a gentleman that, again, as we talk about January and fasting, he's famous in this month, Daniel. Daniel, that we've talked about the Daniel fast, a 21-day fast, and that is something that I will be participating in, but my challenge to us and to our churches is something a little bit different. But let's jump into Daniel right now. And you know, Daniel is an amazing, amazing story. There are so many stories in regards to Daniel, so many movies that could be made just regarding Daniel. You know, we pick up on Daniel's life starting at age 15, and then it goes up to the age of 85, a 70-year window where we get to see the life of Daniel. And Daniel lived through 3 different significant empires. Okay, empires. 4 different emperors, but 3 significant empires. He first lived through and was captured by the Babylonian Empire. And so all of a sudden Babylon came in, destroyed Jerusalem, and took captives about 25% of the Jews and brought them back to Babylon. And Daniel and his friends were some of those that were taken captive and brought back. And so Daniel served then the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. And he was underneath there. And then all of a sudden went to the son. And that was a real quick one. Then all of a sudden, then you had the Assyrians come in and take over. You have King Darius come take over for a time. And then that was the second empire. And the third empire was the Persians. And you have Daniel lasting a legacy through each of these empires and rising from the very bottom of society, right, to all of a sudden the very top of each of these societies. That takes something incredible. I don't know if you've ever been to a job where there's been a transition. All right, those are not easy when there's a transition, is it? It is never easy at all for transitions. Okay, and here you have Daniel who went through 3 different significant transitions that are known in history because these empires were so strong and prolific in what they have done. Yet Daniel was one single man who stood out in each of those empires. God's hand was upon him, but he also surrendered to God's hand so that God could lift him up and elevate him to the places where God could be glorified through his life. And it was not easy. Daniel had to hold fast to God because there were many things and many turbulent things that took place in Daniel's life. So we see Daniel had a lot of tensions that took place, a lot of things that were not easy. Again, just going through the transitions, coming up as a 15-year-old, being taken captive, then coming into the courts and just having a whole new lifestyle, everything just changing in our life. But, you know, as we think again of holding fast in our life, there are tensions that we are dealing with right now. There are tensions, divine tensions. See, a lot of times we want to throw away the tensions that are going on. You know, if you ever lift weights or do anything like that, resistance is good. You know, we don't like resistance, but resistance is what builds growth in your life and in my life. Now, when you have tension and 2 things pulling at each other, there is resistance that takes place. Now, sometimes we have jumped into tensions that we should not be. There could be tensions in a relationship, tensions in the job situation, tensions in your families. There could be tons of different tensions with different intentions behind them, okay? However, each of those things are pullings, and there are some ones that are divine. There are others that we step into, and God will work through those things because he'll turn all things for the good to those that love him and are called according to his purpose. So if you love him and you know your calling, that you're called to his purpose, then you will find a turning for good. However, there are some tensions that God does not want you to jump out of. He has placed you right there in the middle of it so that you can see what you're made of. You can see what's been put inside of you so you can see the weaknesses, but the purpose is not to remain there. The purpose is to grow and become stronger through each of the tensions that are happening. But to do that, we need to hold fast. Hold fast in these moments. So, I want to give you just 3 tips here as I'm kind of giving an intro into this series. 3 tips to 3 suggestions that I want to give you to how to make it through and what to do when things grow tense around you, okay? When there's tensions flying all around, again, family, living situations, home, work, you just never know. There's multiple arenas where there could be tensions that are going on. But number 1, don't be surprised by them. Okay? Number 1, don't be surprised when tensions take place. Don't be surprised when the heat gets turned up. Don't be surprised when you're pulled one way and another. Don't be surprised when you're trying to go forward and there is resistance pushing you backwards. Let me say it again. Don't be surprised when you are pushing onward and there is resistance pushing against what you're doing. See, we have a large group of people, and even Christianity, that think that if it's not easy, it's not God. I think of Galatians when Paul said, "Oh, you foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you?" You know, that's what I want to say to some of these people. Who has bewitched you to think that every road is a road of peace? Who has told you that everything that you're going to go through is just going to be peace, and if it's not peace, it's not God? No. There is an internal peace that God gives you, but as you are moving and you are advancing the kingdom of God, you have a target on you. Okay? The enemy wants to resist you. The world is resisting the things of God. However, God's way prevails because with God, He is the greater force than what is in this world. And sometimes we feel like we're alone facing the world, but when we tap into God's strength, we will overcome. We have the faith that overcomes. Again, we look at James 5 for that. The faith that overcomes the world. We have that faith. Our faith in Christ Jesus, who we're holding on to, our strength. And we go from strength to strength, glory to glory. This is what God has called us to be doing, is to be moving forward, not backwards, not to go with the flow of the world, but to go against the flow, again, in God's grace. God's grace goes against the flow of the world. Okay, now that sounds kind of weird, right? Because we want those rhythms of grace, and there are rhythms of grace in Christ Jesus. But we lose sight and we lose that grace if we're going to go in the opposite direction of where grace is flowing. Grace is flowing along the path of God's will, God's rivers, God's flow, what God is doing, and we want to tap in and move with Him into the supernatural rivers that go against the world's flow, but will overcome the world because His goodness will overcome the evil in and through your life and my life. And this is what we're looking to see right here. So, one thing we don't want to do is be surprised. We have a few different scriptures. 1 Peter 4 verse 12, it says this, "Beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you as though some strange thing happened to you." Here, this is what Peter's saying. Hey, don't be surprised when these things happen to you as if something strange out of the ordinary. Oh my gosh, how could this happen? I thought I was such a strong believer. Why is this happening here and here? It is promised it will happen. Even in John, Jesus says, "These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation." So let me get that again, all right? "In me you will have peace, but in this world tribulation. But be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world." Again, you got that overcoming scripture there. But look how that's divided out. There will be peace in Christ. Do not take your circumstantial peace as God's peace in your life. God's peace does not come from your circumstances. Let me say that again. God's peace does not come from your circumstances. Psalm 23, the famous scripture, says, "He will lead me beside still waters." Well, who is the water of life? It is Jesus. It is the Spirit of God. We can tap into that water, and out of our heart will flow rivers of living water, that life-giving water. But He wants us to bring us to those still waters for rest for our soul. That rest is not found in the world. It is found hidden in Christ Jesus. It is found hidden in the Spirit of God. And God wants you to find your hiding place in Him and hold on to that secret place of the Most High God, where you can abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This is where God wants you to be, is in Him, underneath Him, under His shelter, under His protection, in His embrace. This is where the peace is at. The peace is not all the way over here. It's within Him and where He is at. And as we run to Him, we experience that peace, even though the world could be going crazy around us. And then from that embrace of God, we go out and we are peacemakers. We go out and make peace all around us. We help bring others into the embrace of Christ so they can know what true peace is as well. That is part of our mission. So again, let's not be surprised. There's an old saying that's the punches you don't see coming that knock you out. Some of us can take some really hard punches, but if there's one we don't see, it could be even a light jab, or just a light jab. If we don't see it, that's what could knock us out. So have an awareness. I say that we should be aware of three major things. Actually, four, but God, the enemy, and your flesh, right? God, the enemy, and your flesh. Number one, our focus should be on God. Number two, we need to be aware of the enemy and aware of our flesh. All right, we need to be aware of those things. So be aware. There will be things that happen. There will be tensions. Don't be surprised. Number two, okay, suggestions on how to handle when tensions happen, how to grow through them. Number two is look for ways God might use it. Look for ways that God might use it. It's so easy to see the way the devil is using it. It's so easy to see the way that we're getting pulled and get just overwhelmed by it. But how is God wanting to use this tension right now? Now, there's many ways to look at it. He might be wanting to use this tension in someone else's life, where perhaps it's a relational tension. And it might be that God has put you there, and that is a divine tension to help bring them into God's, again, another pun, God's intentions, where God wants to bring them in and closer to Christ. I don't know about you, but Perhaps you have ever disagreed with somebody, and there's been a disagreement back and forth. And sometimes it's those disagreements, the opposing side, and what they say that begins echoing in your mind and heart for a long time. And eventually some of those things bring change. Why? Because there was an impact that was made. There's something that was logical, that even though you were against it, it kind of bursted a bubble inside of you, and it might have made you mad at the moment, it might have made you upset, but it stayed with you. Don't be afraid of divine, loving confrontations. Let me say it again. Don't be afraid of divine, loving confrontations. God wants to bring you into divine confrontations that will lead people to know Him and know His truth. God wants His truth inside of you and inside of those around you. But again, it's very key how you approach that. It's very important. We'll look in Daniel's life here in the next few messages as well to see how he approached the people in his life. He approached ungodly people with humility, love, and we need to approach the godly people in our life and the ungodly with that same love, humility, and respect that we see Daniel did. Even in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of unfairness, Daniel did that. He stuck out and he held fast to Christ in the midst of having the opportunity to let go of so many things. He still held on to character, integrity, justice. That's Daniel, and that's what we see in this story. But that, more importantly, that's our Christ who lives inside of us. So, number 2, like I mentioned, look for ways that God might use it. Jeremiah 29:11 is a scripture that if you grew up in the church, you know the scripture very well. It says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope." You know, this is God's promise to us, and it's so easy to overlook it, but God wants to give you a future and a hope. This is God's intentions towards you. This is where God is bringing you. And sometimes we're having our tension with God Himself, where we're wrestling with God. God, I don't want to do this. Or God, no, this can't be you. No, God, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. And we're wrestling with God. Guess what? That's a divine tension. The thing is, God is going to win, all right, at some point. Now, let me just say this. God might not win at this point. Maybe you win. And what happens is things get delayed. Let me say it again. Things get delayed. The blessings of coming over to where God wanted you gets delayed because, well, just look at the children of Israel. Okay? They spent 40 years when they didn't have to spend 40 years in the wilderness. God wanted to bring them over because of their complaining, because they decided to let their lips and their eyes focus on the giants and not on Him. They were delayed from moving into the promised land. Church, let's not delay the things of God. Let's surrender to Him. Where there's a tug of war between you and God, let go and let God. We've heard that saying, right? Let go and let God, and allow yourself to be pulled by our Savior so that you're not pulled anymore, that you are following with Him, so that the pulling happens where you are with Him in the purpose and the difficult things, but He's the one who has the weight on Him, and you're just following along, and you get to see the benefits and the reaping of God's fruit in your life and in those around you. So again, look for the ways that God might use the tensions in your life. Maybe the tension between you and Him, the tensions around you. Realize that God is causing growth in you and those around you. And remember that pain is the high cost of growth. Let me say it again. Pain is the high cost of growth. There is pain. Okay, there is pain in growing. There are growing pains, right? We've all heard that term before. Don't run from pain in the tension, because that's often why we want to get rid of the resistance, get rid of the tensions, because there's pain involved. Pain is an indicator, simply that. All right? Don't run from that, but realize growth is happening. Growth will happen and will continue to happen in your life and others' life. And number 3 that I want to put here is trust God for what you don't understand, okay? So number 1, we don't be surprised by the tensions that happen. Number 2, look for how God wants to use it. And number 3, trust God for the things that you don't understand. Can I tell you, that's one of my toughest tensions between me and God. It's like, God, I don't get this. I don't understand. Why is this happening? Why is this not happening? And we get those tensions between us and God. And we got to trust Him with what we don't understand. He is God. We are not. All right, if we knew everything, then we would be so enlightened that we could be God, right? What God knows is far beyond what we know. And this is a journey of faith. It cannot be about your feelings. It cannot be about your intellect, what you know or don't know, how you feel or don't feel. Faith happens when those things are absent. Let me say that again. Faith happens when emotions and intelligence is absent and parted. It's like the Red Sea parting. Those things are parted. What we're going on is what feels like dry ground, but it's God's ground. It's His holy ground that He's leading us to have a journey of faith where feelings and intellect and logic are not what's involved. That's not what we're following. We're following His Spirit, the knowledge that He is leading us, our faith in Him, that we are following God, that we are behind Him, and likewise He is behind us in this journey. All right, so what I want to encourage you for these three things as we're looking at, again, to examine these tensions, suggestions on what to be doing during these tensions as well, trusting God, again, looking for how God might use it, not being surprised by it, but what are tools to hold fast to God in these moments? So one of the tools I mentioned is fasting. I want to encourage you to fast. So I'm not going to proclaim a 21-day fast like I usually do here in January here at Allentown Victory. However, I do want to proclaim this. I want to encourage you for 21 days to hold fast to God. I want to encourage you to get a grip on something that you have a loose grip on right now. I want to encourage you to grab hold of God in a way and in a measure that you have not been holding on to very well. Maybe it's going to church. Maybe it's going to Bible studies. Maybe it's pursuing God. Maybe it's your prayer time. You need to up your prayer time right now. For many of you, that applies to us. We need to up our prayer time. It has gone off the rails in some ways. So let's look in these 21 days, let's up our prayer time. For some of you, it might be spending time in meditation, thinking about God. I've heard it said like this: if you have ever worried about something, you ever have that worry and thing going in your mind over and over and over again? Well, if so, then you know how to meditate. You know how to have something in your mind that you play over and over and over again. Let's do that with Scripture. Let's do that with God. Let's do that with the name of Jesus. Let's meditate upon Him and step into what God has for us. So as we do, that's one tool. There's meditation, prayer. How about a Bible reading plan? Maybe you have left your reading plans. Maybe you've stopped reading diligently like you were supposed to. Maybe you're reading some graphic novels. I don't know what the heck you're reading. Right now, I don't care. What I do care is what you need to be saying yes to, what you need to hold fast to, and that's to Jesus Christ. I want to encourage you to get a Bible reading plan. Start with me if you want. I'm doing the Bible in a year again. I did last year. I do it almost every year, a Bible reading plan. Last year I did the Old Testament and the New Testament twice, and this year I'm going to be doing it again. So I want to encourage you that if you want to do a Bible reading plan, check out a year-long one. Start it now. Let's hold fast to the Word of God. And then, like I said, last but not least, fasting. I want to encourage you. Fasting is a way, we just had a snow over here, thinking about shoveling. Fasting gets out the debris and makes way for the highway of God between you and me, between us and God. Fasting takes out the debris of our flesh, the toxicities that get into our soul through life, through these transitions, through the smoke of everything that's going on right now. And right now, fasting helps clear our lungs out, our spiritual lungs, so we can breathe in purity, so we could drink in purity and know that we are drinking from the true fountain of life. All right, so I'm kind of getting beyond time right now, but I just want to encourage you, let's pursue in these 21 days, all right? So I'm going to start. My particular day is January 11th to the 31st, right? That's Monday, January 11th. Okay, so starting next week, not next Sunday, but the Monday, going to Sunday, finishing that Sunday, January 31st. If you want to start the week before, go for it. Again, this is not proclaiming a fast for Allentown Victory. This is proclaiming a hold fast. Okay, that we're going to find the areas that we're not holding fast to God, and we're going to get a greater grip on Him during these moments. That's my encouragement to you. Let's pursue Him like never before. Let's take an unusual pursuit in these 21 days. Perhaps you want to be coming to the recovery home on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. and joining us for prayer. Perhaps you want to be coming together in your own groups and praying. I want to encourage you, do something abnormal, out of the usual, that you know will add to the increase of your pursuit and those around you as well. Remember, there will be tension. So look, I want to give you and leave you with a few questions here to be talking about in your micro church right now. Number one, what is a tension that we are pretending is not a tension? All right, what is a tension that we're pretending is not one? What's something going on in your life that we're just pretending, la-di-da-di-da, it's no big deal, it's okay, but there's really something there, you're just trying to avoid it, okay? Because we might be missing what God is wanting to do in that moment if we're ignoring what God is doing in that moment. Okay, number two, let us imagine how God might want to use your current tensions. All right, so let's imagine for a second. Now, we can easily get folly here because sometimes we're expecting, all right, if it's an argument, I'm going to win the argument. I see myself winning this argument. That might not be the outcome that even God's looking for, okay? But nonetheless, we should imagine the good because God has good to come out of some of these things that we're dealing with right now. So imagine what is some good things, because again, we just imagine the bad oftentimes. But let's surrender our imagination to God in these moments. God, what do you want to do with these tensions right now? Okay. Number 3, Jeremiah 20:11. All right. What kind of future and hope do you think God wants to give you? All right. So let's take our imagination and give it to God in this area as well. What kind of future and hope do you think God wants to give to you? Where do you think God wants you in 10 years? Where do you think God wants you 10 years from now? What do you think he looks at you and what do you think he sees? What is the characteristics that you think he sees in you 10 years down the line from now? Can you imagine with God the good future that he has for you? See, we think a good future, we think a job, money, all these other things. How about what God is causing you to become? All right, what is God causing you to become? Can you picture that? What does that look like? Can you see the beauty of God's tapestry? Can you see the beauty of God's artistry of what he's forming and making and doing in your life right now? Number 4, what are 1 or 2 tools do I sense God is wanting me to focus on to hold fast in the start of 2021? So we mentioned, again, fasting, prayer, reading, meditation, spending more time with God. There's multiple things. Worship. We could praise and worship. We need to increase that. What are some of the tools right now that God wants us to be implementing to be holding fast and grabbing onto God? What are 1 or 2 tools right now that you sense, okay, I need to do this right now. This is my start. This is my restart in 2021. This is the way I'm going to attack. I'm going to pursue God. I'm going to bring it this year. Amen. So I want to encourage you to pray with one another right now. Also check out our online giving at allentownvictory.com/give. We encourage you to give offerings on there. And God bless you guys. We'll see you next week.